I have a beautiful wife, and she's the gentlest person I know. You could say I'm her entire world. Then one day, my wife, the one whose eyes used to be filled with nothing but me, cheated. Unacceptable. The wife I've built from the ground up belongs to me and me alone. Because the fortune belongs to me. Staring at the long string of numbers in my bank account, I went quiet. Divorce? Impossible. I just couldn't part with that much money. That left only one other option, becoming a widower. Your little lover boy really has no self-control. It only took a faux heiress to have him completely mesmerized. As for whether you're really some hotshot international investor, it doesn't matter. You can continue your career as a sea turtle. In the deep sea. Honey, you're home. The second I walked in the door, Claire Simmons threw her arms around me in a tender hug, planting a soft kiss on my cheek. She did this every day. For 3 years, our passion had never faded. She always found new ways to keep things fresh for me. Today, however, I wasn't interested. The sight of her made my stomach turn, like I'd swallowed a brick. I gave her hair a perfunctory pat, faking exhaustion. I'm skipping dinner, I said flatly. Got some things to take care of. I'll be in my office. With that, I walked straight into my home office and locked the door behind me. As I left, I saw the housekeeper's face fall. Today was our 3rd wedding anniversary, and following our usual tradition, she had prepared a lavish spread of food and wine. Claire's smile became strained. After a few words of reassurance to the housekeeper, she sat down to eat alone in silence. I met Claire at a gala. Back then, I was already making a name for myself in the investment world, a reasonably well-known angel investor. She was just the founder of a tiny startup. Someone brought her over to my table to offer a toast. Mr. Vance, I'm Claire Simmons. I hope we'll have a chance to work together. It was obvious that her calm exterior was a mask for a burning ambition. Her eyes gave everything away. I'll admit, my own intentions weren't exactly pure at that moment. And so it began. I coveted her beauty. She craved my resources and my wealth. Thanks to her initiative, our relationship moved quickly. Within 6 months, we were walking down the aisle. After we were married, I used my connections to help her company grow into a powerhouse. As my own reputation in the investment world grew, I tired of the constant backstabbing and gradually stepped back from the front lines. But I only stepped back. I didn't disappear. Anyone who mattered knew I was still the guy who could make the entire New York financial world tremble with a single phone call. Even though our marriage was founded on mutual interests, our affection hadn't cooled over the past 3 years. But lately, something felt wrong. Terribly wrong. Even though she acted exactly the same. Maybe it was just a gut feeling. A man's intuition. I stayed in my office all night, waiting until Claire was sound asleep. This had never happened before. I always managed my work efficiently, making sure I was with her almost every evening. She, in turn, was always considerate, trying to get home as early as possible. After a long pause, I finally picked up my phone and called my assistant. Do some digging. I want to know if anything's been happening at Claire's company recently, or more specifically, who she's been in close contact with. I gently pushed open the bedroom door and stood by the bed, watching her sleep. That beautiful face had lost its girlish innocence and now had a hint of mature allure. She smiled in her sleep, a sweet, contented smile. I was certain the person in her dream wasn't me. I couldn't make out what she was mumbling, but it definitely wasn't my name. With a sigh, I picked up her iPhone from the nightstand. I typed in our wedding anniversary, and the phone unlocked. It was her idea. Julian, I want us to always trust each other. Our anniversary is something neither of us will ever forget. I scrolled through her iMessage threads. Nothing seemed out of place. Her conversations were just as measured and professional as she was. Most of it was work-related, with a few texts from girlfriends making plans for brunch or drinks. Just as I was about to give up finding any clues, a profile on her Instagram feed caught my eye. The profile picture was of a handsome man sitting at his desk, focused on his work. Right? The diligent working man is always the most attractive. With a face like that, he could have caused a frenzy on any college campus. On a whim, I tapped on his profile. There wasn't much there, just some mundane posts about his work. But one post stood out. The background was a beach. The timestamp was from a week ago. No people were in the photo, just 2 hands clasped tightly together. To anyone else, it would look like a sweet, everyday post from a couple. Nothing worth a second glance. Too bad for her. I know Claire too well. The woman's hand in that photo was hers. The bracelet on her wrist was a custom piece I'd given her for her birthday. There were no duplicates. I memorized the man's name, Leo Croft. According to her contact info, he was a top-tier investor back from London. We'll see about that. I was curious to see who had the nerve to use such a bold title. I didn't know what to make of it all. Was this Claire betraying our love? Or was her love just a transaction all along? How dare she find a boy toy? Sitting at my desk, I stared blankly at the framed photo of us, my heart filled with a white-hot rage. Claire and I never signed a prenup. In other words, if we divorced, our assets would be split down the middle. Even if she was the party at fault, she would never walk away with nothing. I glanced at the balance in my checking account, at that long line of zeros, and I winced. Most of that money was mine. Even Claire's company was built on my investments. I couldn't do it. I couldn't get a divorce. But I also couldn't live with being a cuckold. I'm no saint. With that thought, I stopped hesitating and started planning. After a night of work, I looked at the investment plan I had drafted with satisfaction. Perfect. Seeing the dawn light breaking, I stretched, put on a classical piano playlist in the living room, and waited for Claire to wake up, just like any other morning. The soft piano music roused Claire. She felt the empty space in the bed, confirming I hadn't come back to the room all night. She walked out with a look of displeasure. When she saw I had already made breakfast for her, her expression softened from annoyance to tenderness. I brought her plate from the kitchen, set it gently on the table, and gave her a light kiss. Lately, I've been working on the final round of financing to take her company public. Although I hadn't seen my assistant's full report yet, I was sure this Leo Croft character was after that. After all, for a woman with money, a career, and looks, who cares if it's her second marriage? As for being a top-tier investor back from London, that was complete bullshit. I'd been in this industry for years. I'd never heard of him. Claire, I tweaked the financing proposal again last night. It's a lock. The IPO is going to be a success. Hearing this, Claire's eyes lit up. There was a glint of greed in them. Smiling faintly, I explained the details of the financing plan as she ate her breakfast. The most important thing now was to protect my assets. Our personal fortune was one thing, but I wanted the company too. This plan would leverage our capital to the absolute maximum. In other words, Claire's personal cash flow was about to get very tight. Moving any assets out of the company or our personal accounts would now be impossible. But for someone trying to climb the ladder, I figured that was a small price to pay. Today, Claire did something she never does. She didn't go into the office. She turned off her phone and dedicated the entire day to me. As I enjoyed her attentive service, I reviewed the file my assistant had sent over. And no, not that kind of service. I was just having her fetch things for me. I wouldn't touch her. Who knows what kind of diseases she might have picked up. Leo Croft came back from studying abroad. His family was reasonably well off, with a net worth of a few million, but he was a far cry from the top-tier investor he claimed to be. He went to some diploma mill overseas. The top-tier title was something he paid a PR firm a small fortune to concoct. His entire game was seducing rich women. Clearly, Claire had fallen into his trap. Apparently, he had approached Claire proactively. The excuse, naturally, was to help her company go public. But I was the one handling all of that, which made Claire hesitant. Looking at Leo Croft's handsome face, Claire didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. What happened next was a total cliché. Because we didn't have a prenup, Claire started to feel like she was getting the short end of the stick. And why not? A beautiful, talented woman, a glamorous CEO, compared to me, an investor who had retreated behind the scenes. From her perspective, it was a bad deal. Leo Croft seized on that vulnerability to win her over. They even started moving assets under the guise of investment projects. After reading the report, I kept the same faint smile on my face. I handed Claire a piece of cantaloupe. This woman's ambition had really grown. Did she ever stop to think? Without the capital I brought in, her company would be a 50-person operation at best. Would she have her own skyscraper and thousands of employees like she does now? It seems all those people calling her Ms. Simmons had gone her head. I studied Leo Croft's picture carefully. I had to admit, he had the looks. Don't worry, an international man like you belongs in international waters. I still have plenty of resources. Everything can be arranged, nice and clean. Money. I have more than enough. Beautiful women. I know plenty of those, too. I'll even introduce you to some new business. After Claire finished her meal, I gently stroked her long hair. I even thoughtfully wiped her mouth. Claire, what do you think about that family asset investment plan we discussed before? That plan had been Claire's idea. She thought since I had so much free time, I might as well manage our personal assets more actively. Perhaps she saw nothing wrong with it, or maybe she thought the company's IPO was a sure thing. Without a second thought, she signed the investment agreement. She looked at me with a gentle expression. Julian, when you're handling things, I have nothing to worry about. That evening, I called a certain young woman. I got straight to the point. Leo Croft's biggest weakness was pretending to know things he didn't. I'd had him thoroughly vetted. When it came to investing, he barely knew the basics. Perfect. In the end, the con man would get conned, and he wouldn't even know how to file a police report. A sweet, coquettish voice came through the phone. Mr. Vance, what a rare call. What's wrong? Feeling lonely? Need me to keep you company? I chuckled. Sweetheart, you know I don't play with thorny roses. I've sent you the details. The job is simple. I'll draft the contracts. You just need to get this guy hooked. How about it? The young woman's voice was practically dripping with seduction. Mr. Vance, you can count on me. I can be sweet or salty, whatever the situation calls for. I've got the file. I'll have him wrapped around my little finger. Good, I said and hung up. Leo's family wasn't poor, so a simple trap wouldn't work. To take him down, you had to play to his tastes. You like female CEOs? This one's even better, as long as you can handle her. The young woman moved incredibly fast. An hour later, I received a notification that they had arranged to meet. Leo put on a cool, gentlemanly act, asking sharp, insightful questions about investing. He wore a practiced, professional smile. Ms. King, rest assured, my team has extensive experience with these matters. We have a portfolio of successful case studies I can send over for your reference. This woman, Sabrina King, was a master of the game. That would be wonderful, Mr. Croft. Let's connect. I'll be needing your help with my company's financing. Sabrina King's Instagram feed was a curated fantasy of beaches and yachts. Her wardrobe was exclusively haute couture. Naturally, she was chauffeured in luxury cars. All of it was real, and she was genuinely the person in the photos. Unfortunately, Sabrina King was no heiress. She was a fresh graduate of a socialite finishing school, a high-class escort who had learned to project an image of immense wealth. This operation was costing me a pretty penny. Her appearance fee alone was in the seven figures. According to Sabrina's debrief, the guy's Instagram was a whole different world for what I saw on Claire's phone. He was a young guy playing a big game. I wondered just how many burner accounts he had and how many fish he was trying to catch. Sabrina's training was top-notch. She revealed nothing about herself, yet she managed to let Leo guess everything. Young, beautiful, wealthy, with her own company, and most importantly, single. And she seemed very interested in him. Faced with a beautiful woman throwing herself at him, Leo remained reserved. He was just afraid of scaring the fish away. He needed to make the bait more enticing. Sabrina started contacting Leo every few days. At first, it was strictly business, but gradually, they started talking about things outside of work. That night, I quietly took Claire's phone to check for any new developments. Impressive. Leo really was a player. He was hitting on Sabrina while keeping Claire on the hook. They were still discussing the next steps for transferring assets. Hey, good for them. The plan was quite detailed. Luckily for me, Claire wasn't a complete idiot. Although some of the assets had been moved offshore, they were still under Claire's control. The last message was them arranging a rendezvous for the next day. I had to smile. Are all con artists this bold nowadays, cheating people out of their money and sleeping with them? Only a fool like Claire wouldn't see it. I sent a text to Sabrina. Time to deepen the engagement. The contracts are ready. Since he wanted to play the con man, let's see whose con was more legally sound. Having someone else pay Sabrina's fees for me. Could anything be more amusing? The next morning, Claire spent hours getting ready, then left using the excuse of a work emergency. When she came home that evening, her makeup was still flawless, but her face was dark as a thundercloud. Looks like today's date was crashed by Sabrina. Pretending not to notice anything, I fussed over her, as usual. I even had the housekeeper prepare all of Claire's favorite dishes. Claire had a tough day. Bring out the good red wine. I want to have a drink with her. Although she was reluctant, Claire forced a smile. Soon, her cheeks were flushed, and she was leaning against me, looking miserable. Julian, do you think you can ever trust a man's word? Are they only after a woman's looks? Looking at the tipsy woman in my arms, I gently pinched her cheek. Claire, what's wrong? Did something happen? I must have pinched a little too hard, because it seemed to sober her up a bit. She managed a weak smile. No, it's my friend. She's fighting with her boyfriend, thinking about breaking up. I feigned a gentle tone and scooped her into my arms. Don't overthink it. Everyone has their own destiny. You reap what you sow. That sentence wasn't just an answer to her question. It was also a warning. You can never truly know what's in a person's heart. When you're too good to someone, they start to take it for granted. They forget whether they even deserve it in the first place. Over the next month, Sabrina repeatedly used work as an excuse to meet with Leo. She even dropped heavy hints that she was interested in him. You have to commit to the role. She even arranged for a few small, fake investment deals to go through. Leo, in his effort to land the big fish, really went all out. He actually managed to execute those small contracts quite well. Under the guise of a thank you, Sabrina even gave Leo a hefty commission. I was sure that Leo now felt he was getting closer and closer to success. The final, decisive blow I had prepared could finally be deployed. Sabrina shot me a sultry look over her shoulder and, right in front of me, sent the invitation. Leo, you handsome devil, I got this financing deal I'm not sure about. Are you free to help your girl out? A few minutes later, the reply came. Of course. It would be my honor to be of service to a beautiful woman. Let the show begin. Sabrina, swaying her hips in a way that would mesmerize any man, shot me one last glance before getting into her car. To make her performance more convincing, I had even set her up with some legitimate-looking offshore investment firms. She truly was a graduate of a finishing school for the elite. Few men could resist her charms. If I didn't know the truth, I might have fallen for it myself. The woman was terrifying. She could shower you with affection and validation, all while leaving no trace of her true intentions. Once you fell for her, it was over. She would eat you alive and leave nothing but bones. Sabrina gave me a live feed, so I could monitor the progress in real time. That day, Sabrina put on her most charming and playful act, coquettishly persuading Leo to commit both his own money and his efforts. That evening, a lingering kiss goodbye made Leo feel like he was just one step away from winning her heart. This went on for several more days. Their relationship seemed to be on the verge of a breakthrough. Leo was a con man at heart, driven by greed for a woman's fortune. Of course, a beautiful woman like Sabrina was the ultimate prize. A week later, the contract was finally signed. Nice. Sabrina handled the whole affair beautifully. Leo used his own assets as collateral to borrow a substantial amount of money from the offshore firms, all of which was then invested into Sabrina's company. Of course, they had an agreement. Profits would be split evenly. 9. Now that Leo was in the trap, I started to accelerate the financing plan for Claire's company. When Leo's world came crashing down, I wanted to make sure Claire couldn't do a single thing to help her little boy toy. A man with nothing but a pretty face who relies on scams to get ahead deserves no sympathy. Once Claire was fast asleep, I secretly messaged Sabrina. Drive a wedge between them. Make him more dependent on you. A moment later, I got an okay emoji back. You have to hand it to those finishing schools. They produce real talent. Beautiful, seemingly kind, and never taking credit for their good deeds. The next day, I saw a video. Sabrina was pouting, acting like a petulant girlfriend waiting for her boyfriend to apologize. Leo, what's the deal with that Claire Simmons? I know you two have been seeing a lot of each other. I have a feeling your relationship isn't just professional. Don't tell me you're just friends. Didn't you say you only liked me? Leo, a master of adaptability, looked at Sabrina with deep affection. Sabrina, you have to believe me. You're the one I love. That Claire Simmons is just a business acquaintance. She can't stand her useless husband and comes to me to vent sometimes. I promise you, there's nothing else between us. Hey, useless. I wonder if Claire said that, or if Leo just made it up. Probably Claire. A cold smile touched my lips. Leo, likely terrified of losing a wealthy beauty like Sabrina, pulled a bouquet of flowers from behind his back as if by magic. Then he got down on one knee, his face a mask of adoration. Sabrina, I've actually been planning to propose. I just knew our relationship was still new, and I didn't want to pressure you. You're the only one I love. Don't you know my heart by now? He then placed Sabrina's hand over his heart. Of course, Sabrina wasn't really angry, but she had to play her part. She pouted, her expression one of disdain. I'll forgive you. For now. But if I find out anything, you know the consequences. This woman was good. A master of sowing discord. After watching the video, I put down my phone with a quiet chuckle. 10. Lately, Leo Croft had been feeling pretty pleased with himself. Sabrina would call him up whenever she felt like it. Leo, I'm in a bad mood. Come have a drink with me. Leo glanced at his watch. It was already 10 p.m. A thrill of excitement went through him. A call this late could only mean one thing. His lucky night was finally here. He had been getting antsy lately. Having a gorgeous, wealthy woman dangling in front of him every day without being able to seal the deal was frustrating. Thank God for Claire, who was always there to offer him some warmth when he needed it most. Okay, Sabrina, wait for me. I'm on my way to pick you up. Soon, Leo's car pulled up in front of Sabrina's villa. From the smug grin on his face, it was clear he was having the time of his life. Compared to the mature Claire, Sabrina was much more his type. By now, Leo was probably dreaming of marrying an heiress. He wouldn't even mind being a trophy husband. After all, widowhood was always a future possibility. At the club, they ordered round after round of drinks until Leo was slurring his words. Sabrina's training hadn't just been about posing as high society. That program was expensive. She had paid for it all with money she earned as an escort. Years of that life had given her an incredible tolerance for alcohol. But Leo was already drunk. Sabrina looked at him, her eyes hazy with feigned intoxication. Leo, do you really like me? Leo's practiced lies rolled off his tongue, even though he could barely speak clearly. Of course. Sabrina, you're my one and only. The first time I saw you, I was completely captivated. He picked up another glass and downed it. Perhaps knowing that his plan with Claire was about to pay off, he started to get cocky. Sabrina, don't worry. I have a huge investment project in the works. Once it closes, my net worth will jump to 9 figures. I'll marry you then, okay? Sabrina, feigning admiration, raised her glass and linked arms with him for a drink. Leo, I knew you were the best. My family's money is just inherited wealth. For you to build all this from scratch at your age, it's truly amazing. My parents will definitely love you. But you can't be a player then. I hate men who cheat. Leo wrapped his arm around Sabrina's shoulder, feeling like he finally had something to brag about to the woman of his dreams. Sabrina, don't worry. I swear, I'll only love you for the rest of my life. 11. Just as Leo was basking in his success, I brought the hammer down. The contract with Sabrina's company defaulted. Of course, this wasn't the final gift, just a small preliminary contract. A little lesson, if you will. The grand finale wasn't ready yet. Leo was thrown into a panic. It was his own greed that did him in. For an extra $1 million, he had put himself on the line as a guarantor. Leo frantically called Sabrina. Sabrina, what's going on? Is that contract really going to default? Sabrina's wealthy heiress persona worked perfectly. It never even occurred to Leo to suspect she was behind it. Looking at the assets now safely transferred offshore, Sabrina smiled. But her voice was filled with concern as she tried to soothe him. Leo, don't panic. We're working on a solution. Before they could find a solution, debt collectors were already at Leo's door. Leo Croft, pay up. You're the one who conned me into this investment. Now that it's gone south, you have to take responsibility. Top-tier investor? More like a top-tier moron. You're useless. Give me back my money. You co-signed the agreement. It has a joint liability clause. Don't even think about running. Facing the menacing collectors at his door, Leo had no choice but to use his own assets to pay them off. Damn it, Leo swore viciously. As soon as I marry Sabrina, I'm getting all of this back with interest. It never once crossed his tiny mind to wonder why the collectors were coming after him, the guarantor, instead of the main party. This put me in a much better mood. I whistled as I made myself a cup of tea. Today's tea had a distinct taste of schadenfreude. Seeing my cheerful disposition, Claire approached me curiously. What are you so happy about? I handed her my phone, casually pointing at the screen. Look at this. This guy calls himself a top-tier investor, yet he makes a rookie mistake like this. Unbelievably stupid. Claire took the phone. After just a few seconds, her face darkened. I knew she was thinking about the contract she used to transfer her own assets, all of which were handled by this same idiot. He was her partner in crime, after all. How could she not worry about him? Forcing a strained smile, Claire stood up. I just remembered I have something to take care of. I'll be in my office. Huh. Judging by her expression, her little boyfriend got himself into trouble, and she was off to the rescue. Makes sense. Helping him was helping herself. 12. Perhaps feeling that Claire was now more devoted to him than ever, Leo actually ghosted Sabrina for several days to show his gratitude. Claire, of course, used the excuse of being busy at work and didn't come home for a week. Reading the updates from my assistant, I couldn't help but shake my head. Some people just love to play with fire. He was a cockroach who insisted on jumping onto the dinner table. There was no other outcome than getting squashed. The revolution is not yet complete. I must press on. After Claire had resolved everything for him, a weary-looking Sabrina found Leo. Leo, I've sorted everything out. Thank you for your hard work these past few days. Although Leo was seething with resentment, he couldn't bring himself to let go of such a lucrative prize. His machismo kicking in, he waved his hand magnanimously. Sabrina, don't worry. It's not your fault. It's those investors who don't understand. Investing is never a 100% guarantee. Well said. When your own world collapses, that line will be the perfect summary. In response to Leo's display of masculinity, Sabrina wisely put on an adoring expression. She nestled into his arms, as if she had found her lifelong protector. Leo, you're amazing. Having you by my side makes me feel so safe. Looking at the beautiful woman before him, Leo's hands started to wander. Sabrina shot him a look but didn't resist, even subtly shifting to accommodate him. After a few moments, just as Leo was about to be overwhelmed by desire, Sabrina produced contract. Leo, I'm so sorry about what happened. All of my family's capital is tied up in other projects right now. My father has decided to offer you a portion of the shares in our company's IPO project as compensation. Leo's hands immediately stopped. Men, always putting business first. As he signed his name with a flourish, Sabrina smiled brightly. What a fool. He had no idea his dear Sabrina was about to squeeze him dry. For the next few days, Sabrina's attitude was impeccable, a far cry from her previous spoiled rich girl persona. She had Leo so captivated that he completely forgot about their recent troubles. She was just as she'd promised, sweet or salty, as the situation required. They made plans for dinner at the city's newest revolving restaurant, a place with a panoramic view of the skyline. When Claire got home, before she could even change, I stopped her. Claire, we've been so busy lately, I feel like I've been neglecting you. I booked a table for us. Let's go. There's a fireworks show there tonight, too. Very romantic. My tone was gentle, just like it had been for the past 3 years. Claire paused for a moment, but realizing she still needed me, she nodded. By the time Claire and I arrived at the restaurant, Leo and his date hadn't shown up yet. Using the excuse of going to the restroom, I sent Sabrina a text. I knew they were already nearby. Now all I had to do was enjoy the show. Just as Claire was looking over the menu, Sabrina walked in, clinging to Leo's arm like a delicate bird. Anyone could see they were a couple. The moment she saw Claire, Sabrina deliberately took a few steps forward and cooed in a flirtatious voice. Leo, can we go back to the hotel afterward? I have a special present for you. She gave a shy little wiggle, making it clear what kind of present she had in mind. Claire, who hadn't noticed him at first, looked up. Her face was a mask of cold fury. The moment he saw Claire, Leo froze in panic. His entire body went rigid. Sabrina pretended not to understand. Honey, what's wrong? Don't you like me anymore? At that moment, Claire forgot everything else and shot to her feet. But then, perhaps remembering that I could return at any second, she slowly sat back down, her face still grim. When I returned to the table, Claire's face was dark and stormy. I pretended to be oblivious. Honey, what's wrong? You look upset. Claire forced a smile and clumsily changed the subject. She handed the menu to me. Julian, it's nothing. Just work stuff. I've already ordered. See if there's anything else you want to add. I wisely dropped the subject. I had successfully ignited the conflict between them. My goal for the evening was achieved. Whether she was having second thoughts was not my concern. What you ordered is perfect for me, Claire. Nothing to add. The rest of the meal was tasteless. When we got home, I continued my act of ignorance. Honey, the investors all agreed to my financing proposal. Everything is going exactly according to the plan. Fighting back my disgust, I placed a gentle kiss on her cheek. Claire, you're about to be the CEO of a publicly traded company. This is the empire I built for you, my love. Do you like it? Claire's expression softened. She moved to kiss me on the lips. I deftly turned my head. No way. I wouldn't touch someone so tainted. I was afraid of catching something. I took out the prepared contracts. Claire reviewed them and then quickly signed her name. I gently massaged her shoulders, my face still wearing the same look of adoration it had for the past 3 years. Claire, congratulations in advance. Seeing Claire's triumphant smile, I presented her with another gift. Darling, our family investment plan is also settled. We'll see double the returns in a year, Max. I leaned in and whispered in her ear. I also invested in a large estate overseas. We can vacation there in the future. How's that sound? Claire's emotions had been on a roller coaster all day. A loss in love, but a massive victory in her career. Everything I said was true, with no hidden traps. I wasn't one to joke about my own fortune. She stared at me for a long time, then threw herself into my arms and kissed me passionately. This time I couldn't dodge. Damn it, I need to use a lot of mouthwash later. Julian, I'm so lucky, she murmured, marrying such a brilliant husband. Don't I have great taste? I held her gently, letting her rest her head on my shoulder. Inside, I was laughing coldly. I knew that from this day forward, Claire was completely caught in my net. You have to be ruthless to survive. You wanted to scheme for my fortune? Fine. Let the games begin. I like money too. After being caught red-handed by Claire, Leo became completely dependent on Sabrina. Seeing the hatred in Claire's eyes, I let out a sneer. I sent Sabrina a text. Make your move. How much you can get is up to you. Soon after, Sabrina's company's finances imploded. This time, she played a much bigger game. Sabrina was absolutely ruthless. To maximize her profits, she had used the company's shares as collateral to take out massive loans from loan sharks. Then, she seamlessly transferred all the money out through a series of shell corporations. Leo was once again thrown onto the fire. This time, the amount was staggering, $300 million. He couldn't pay it back. And this time, there was no Claire to bail him out. The debt collector's methods grew increasingly aggressive. Leo had no choice but to go to the police. Officer, this woman, Sabrina King, is a con artist. She defrauded me through an investment scheme. Now she's disappeared, and I need your help to get my money back. The police acted with surprising speed. Just as the investors and lenders were starting to feel a glimmer of hope, even more explosive news broke. Sabrina King's company was a complete sham. Everything was fake. The financial records were fake, the contracts were fake, and even Sabrina King was fake. The legal representative was indeed a Sabrina King, but she was just some unlucky person who had lost her ID card. Mr. Croft, I'm sorry. We've run the photo you provided. The woman's name isn't Sabrina King. She has already left the country, and we have no way of finding her. Leo walked out of the police station in a daze. It was only then that he finally realized he had been scammed, and scammed spectacularly. Everything was fake, but the debts he had personally guaranteed were very, very real. All the contracts bore his signature, and the money had passed through his accounts before being transferred to Sabrina. His entire net worth wasn't enough to even begin to repay the creditors. As per our agreement, I paid Sabrina her fee in full and even thoughtfully arranged for her new citizenship overseas. This was all part of the plan. What I didn't expect was that a desperate Leo would turn his attention back to Claire. He started lurking in the underground garage of her office building every day, hoping for a chance encounter. When my assistant informed me, I laughed. Claire, of course, had blocked his number long ago. For a man who had lost all his value, no matter how handsome he was, Claire wouldn't give him a second glance. Never underestimate a woman. When they turn cruel, they can be more vicious than any man. Sabrina was one example. Claire was another. I had someone pass a message to Claire. I conveyed my meaning tactfully. I don't care what happened between you two. The company is about to go public. There can be no negative press. Yes, I'm a very kind person. I was also curious to see how Claire would handle this. After all, they had once been partners in bed. Ultimately, Claire went to see Leo one last time. I don't know what they talked about, but it must have been unpleasant. Leo was on his knees, clinging to Claire's leg and begging pitifully. The sound of his voice was grating even to my ears. TSK, TSK. Claire really was heartless. Perhaps to prove to me that she had nothing to do with this man, she kicked Leo to the ground. She stomped on him viciously with her stiletto heels. Those were 4-inch heels. The heel broke Leo's lip and then ground over his fingers one by one. It looked painful. Finally, Claire had her bodyguards deliver him to the loan sharks. After doing all this, Claire walked back into her office without a backward glance. Claire knew the message I sent was right. The company couldn't afford any bad publicity now. As for whether I knew about their sordid affair, it didn't really matter. For the sake of the company, I had to tolerate it. As for the future, Claire was confident she had 1,000 ways to deal with me. The company finally went public. During this time, Claire and I acted as if nothing had ever happened. On the eve of the IPO, Claire knelt before me and confessed everything. Of course, she left out the sordid details of her affair. Julian, I know the situation with Leo made you unhappy. I swear, there was absolutely nothing between us. I was just worried you were working too hard. I was only looking for another investor to handle some of the company's smaller deals. I gently stroked Claire's cheek. This woman was a masterful schemer. Seeing that Leo had disappeared without a trace, she knew there was no evidence against her, so she admitted to a lesser crime to absolve herself of the greater one. I chuckled and helped her to her feet. Claire, how can I not believe you? That idiot Leo is not someone you would ever fall for. Between a husband and wife, there has to be this level of trust. Seeing that I wasn't pressing the issue, Claire was overjoyed. In that period, our relationship seemed to return to what it was 3 years ago. She did everything she could to please me, and I did everything I could to help her run the company. Just when it seemed like everything was about to be forgotten, I initiated the final step of my plan. Claire, aren't you leaving for your trip tomorrow? I had someone pack your bags for you. I smiled and kissed her cheek. Claire suspected nothing. She had planned this trip herself. It had no real purpose. It was just a getaway to relax. Later, as I was sitting in my office, my assistant rushed in, looking nervous. Mr. Vance, your wife. She's missing. By the time I arrived at the police station, it was the middle of the night. The police saw me and gave me a briefing. Mr. Vance, we received a notification from the overseas embassy. Your wife went missing during her trip. We currently cannot determine if she is alive or dead. The officer paused, and seeing no extreme emotional reaction from me, continued. The situation in that region is very complex and unstable. The chances of survival are not high. We will do our best. We hope you understand. I nodded and thanked the officers. Okay, thank you for your work. 3 days later, I boarded a yacht headed out to sea. As expected, on the yacht, I saw Claire. Tied up next to her was Leo Croft. I stood on the deck with Sabrina. The girl was wearing a bikini, never missing an opportunity to show off her figure. She was even wearing a pair of sky-high heels. When the two of them were brought up, it was clear my bodyguards had already given them a warm welcome. Julian Vance, you have no honor. You said you would let me go. Even now, Leo still didn't grasp the situation and just kept barking like a dog. I cleaned out my ear and glanced at Sabrina. It's too loud. It's ruining the view. The girl blew me a kiss. Swinging her tempting hips, she suddenly lifted her leg and brought her heel down on Leo's head. The sharp stiletto instantly shut him up. I saw Ms. Simmons do that to you last time, and I've been dying to try it myself, she purred. Don't move. Hold out your fingers. I want to experience that kind of fun, too. This girl had a strong, vengeful streak. Of course, that wasn't the real reason. She was furious that her high society persona was now useless. Fortunately, her payout from this job was enough to keep her comfortable for the rest of her life. An hour later, the girl had finally had her fill of fun. There wasn't much undamaged skin left on Leo's body. Her methods were brutally efficient. Sabrina held out her stiletto. To think your filthy hands once dared to touch me. I'll give you a chance to repent. Lick it clean, and I'll give you a quick end. After a moment's hesitation, Leo finally submitted. Once Sabrina had had her fill of humiliating him, I turned my gaze to Claire. Claire, I've known about Leo from the beginning. I know everything you two did, and as you wished, I forgive you. Did you know, Leo's standards are incredibly low. All I had to do was promise him $1 million and a ticket out of the country, and he was willing to do anything. Your taste in men is truly terrible. Look, all it took was a little suggestion from me, and he obediently lured you here. Honestly, you're quite pathetic. Claire finally understood. She dropped to her knees with a thud. Julian, I know I was wrong. I'm begging you, please let me go. I know I wronged you. I'll sign the papers right now. I don't want any of the assets. The company is yours. Just let me live. She crawled forward a few steps, trying to hug me. Sabrina, ever perceptive, stepped in. She stretched out her freshly licked stiletto and planted it on Claire's head. Sorry, darling. Stay away from my benefactor. I rolled my eyes at her. This girl had no filter. What benefactor? I had no interest in getting involved with a woman like her. I looked down at Claire. A cold smile formed on my lips as a few words escaped. Claire, don't struggle. You know I won't let you go. A woman like you, with so many schemes. There's no guarantee you won't betray me a second time. Once you're gone, the fortune is still mine. For the sake of our family, please make this sacrifice. I clapped my hands, and a bodyguard brought over 2 50-pound iron weights shaped like turtle shells. Leo Croft, has no one ever told you not to mess with married women? That's a man's last moral boundary. Since you dared to parade around as some international talent, fine. Today, I'll help you become a real sea turtle. I turned to Claire. As for you, you probably have a score to settle with Leo. Go down together. You'll have plenty of time to sort it out. No matter how much Claire and Leo begged, the bodyguard's movements never faltered. 2 splashes broke the surface of the ocean, and then everything was over. As for why I let Sabrina do the dirty work, it was a precaution. That woman was too greedy. I couldn't afford to have any leverage held over me. This inning was perfect. Sabrina pushed them overboard, and now she wouldn't dare return to the country. The days ahead were going to be much, much better.